Welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And I'm joined tonight by my special guest, EMT Ashlie from Twitter fame. And tonight we're gonna chop it. We're gonna chop it up about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I haven't had you on for a long time, Ashley. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, you just, you forgot about me, Dean.
Ain't nobody forgot about you. You've blown up, and it's so funny to watch now that people talk to you and then you talk football and you're throwing stats out there, and I think the one thing that kind of pisses me off is people don't realize how much of a football IQ that you really have and how much you do follow the game. All they see is the fact that you're a female. But I've always respected you, and again, thank you for coming on. How's everything going?
Man, everything is, kind of crazy right now with the whole pandemic we got going on, but we're getting through it. We're gonna be all right.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up how everything is going, and I really feel bad for the people that are out there that work and they have to, you know, you have to sacrifice yourself to be out here for some people that sometimes you just wonder. You're like, man, what's really going on?
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I just again, it's one of those things. I'm hoping that everybody's being safe. Looks like we've got some people in the chat. Frank G, Perry Mathis, Kwame Richardson, Frank G, Mr. Everything's Bucks. Tonight we're gonna have some fun with this. We're a week away from the draft. Will the Brewer, what kind of beer you got? Um, hey, Will the Brewer is the best. Brewing that beer, we talk beer and that kind of thing. I love having people like that on. Um, what kind of moves do you think the Bucks, was talking about the draft, are going to make? I mean, what in a perfect world, and put your GM hat on for a minute. In a perfect world, what kind of moves would you be making?
In a perfect world, I'd do anything except move up. I don't think moving up is going to do anything good. I think the Bucks need, their second and third round picks to kind of fill those holes that we do have. In a dream scenario, I'd love one of the big four tackles to drop to 14, or for them to even move back in the draft. Acquire some extra picks, help them either move back into the first, or maybe just move up into back into the second, or something like that, and acquire another top round pick or a high top pick. But I just don't think that moving up in the draft is smart. I'm hoping they don't do that. I could see why if they're really going to go all in on this season, but I
Mm-hmm.
still think you need those premier second and third round picks, especially this year. Like, Buccaneer football is going to go, it's going to live after Brady. So you have to,
Right.
you have to prepare for that.
I think the one thing that really concerns me is that they aren't looking at it that way. I think they're looking at win now, and I don't know. I go back and forth with the draft. I'm horrible with the draft, by the way. My track record shows it. Since I've been doing this, other than I hit on Mike Evans, which I was happy with Mike Evans coming in, and that was one of my claims to fame right there, is that I was like, yeah, I'm all in on Mike Evans, and there have been players that I've wanted to come to Tampa that Tampa just kind of bypassed. Oh, Vita Vea was the other one that I was real high on, and it looks like it happened, and I'm glad it happened. So, like right now, uh, I'm kind of with you. There are a lot of holes to fill. I think depth is still an issue in certain places on this team.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a number three receiver, a clear cut number three receiver. There's just a lot of stuff going on, but I think that line, addressing the line, is probably first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not been consistent on over this decade, is addressing the trenches on a consistent basis.
I agree with you. I think that, Dotson keeping him around for this long was kind of a mistake. Um, I don't think that I don't think that he's really been the right tackle that we've needed, especially with the way Donovan Smith is kind of hot and cold. I'll listen. I will be the first one to admit a mistake when I have one, and mine was on Alex Kappa.
Yeah.
I absolutely did not think that he would, bud into this solid guard like that he has. He's definitely stepped up, and I definitely think that he's going to have a really solid year next year. He's definitely upped his game. I mean, the guy played with a broken arm. Like, you can't ask for something, a more tough guy. You're playing through an injury, and you're playing well, and you're really learning the system. I mean, with him, that inside offensive line of Ali Marpet has been a top 10 lineman for the past, however many years he's been in the league.
5 years.
Ryan Jensen's a really solid guy. I love his mentality. And then you have Alex Kappa. So that interior offensive line is stellar. The tackles are the issue right now. You can't set the edge. You can't run block. It's becoming a bigger issue than just pass protection at this point.
Yeah. Now, and I know there were certain situations where the Bucs could not run the ball because of the score or, just basically the in-game scenario. I think it'll be good to get a lineman that you could get out there that can set the edge or run block. And I think Ronald Jones, and I've been saying this, and this is my hot take in this offseason. Ronald Jones, if he can stay healthy, is going to have a monster year. And I think with the addition of Tom Brady, I think that's going to be huge having him in there.
Listen, if Ronald Jones gets the ball more than 10 carries a game, he's going to explode. I mean, you kind of saw at the end of the season where he had his first 100-yard game to end the season. He played really well against who was the second to last week? I can't think off the top of my head.
They lost to Atlanta. So the week before, goodness, was that 2 division games in a row? Oh, I'll tell you in a second.
Was it the Saints? No,
it wasn't the Saints. I'm sorry, I'm off. Like I said, this has just been a weird year. I've been kind of off. I'm getting
No, you're good. I can't. Well, even though, regardless, the last 2 games of the season, he really kind of stepped it up. His footwork has been incredible since since he got in the league. He just needs more opportunity. The run blocking hasn't been there. Every time he had a big run, it was called back for a hold,
Yeah.
That's more so discipline on our line and just, the play calling and getting him adjusted to it. Because, when you don't have that many opportunities, you're still going to be learning. It's a learning process. So for him, I think just more opportunities and committing to a run game and committing to run blocking is going to be, crucial to see him really blossom because he has the tools. He's got the speed. He's got the footwork. He breaks tackles like it's nothing. He just needs the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Just being committed to the run will be huge. I love what he's doing in the off seasons. This off season, you look at him, he looks like a running back. Last off season, just the work that he put in, you could see that on the field. And I think having a superior head coach really helps the scenario as well. So it's one of those things that I'm super excited about. Man, there's some really cool stuff in the chat, and I'm going to kind of jump into some of this here. Will the Brewer says, I'm drinking cream ale now. Got to check out shortly. Get to a meeting at the top of the hour. I'll drink an open interest IPA just for you later. Hey, if you're following me on Twitter, send me a picture of that. I would love to see that. I collect beer pictures. Don't judge me. All right. Mr. Everything Bucks says Miami controls everything. What happens in this year's draft if they hold off and get a quarterback until the 3rd pick? The offensive tackle we want will be at the pick we want and go get another running back or go get a running back. It's interesting to me. The draft is such a crapshoot, and nobody's really proven until they get on the field and show what they can do. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got the physical tools, but we've seen cases, and I talked about this last week. Austin Seferian-Jenkins just didn't have it from the neck up. He had all the physical tools. Roberto Aguayo, could you imagine if he was mentally tough enough to handle the rigors of the NFL? He had the physical tools to be a good kicker in the NFL, but it just didn't work out for him. He just didn't have it from the neck up. Noah Spence, another guy who I really have no idea what happened with Noah Spence, but another guy that just didn't have it. He had the physical tools, and I think he could have been successful, but just didn't have it from the neck up. These are players that you're risking a draft pick on. I mean, and when you talk about the Buccaneers, we could go all the way back to 2003 and beyond about missed draft picks and free agents, so on and so on. But you kind of get what I'm saying here with the Buccaneers and just how they've been in the draft. I would have to say, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I would have to say that last year's draft was probably one of the cleanest drafts the Bucks have had in quite a long time. Time will tell with some of these players and how they continue to progress, but so far, I would have to say that last year's draft was very productive.
Listen, there was an article that was out earlier today that I kind of quote tweeted, and it was a redraft of last year's draft, and there were three Buccaneers that went in the first round, and it was Devin White to Jacksonville, Sean Murphy Bunting to Carolina at 16, and then Jamel Dean to the Raiders at 24 or 25, I forget which one, but that's three first round talents. Like if and like you said, time will tell, and they had great first rookie years. So if Jason Light really hit on those three players and their first round talents that just dropped, that's incredible. That's one of the best drafts that you can have. You have three first round talents.
Yeah, you're exactly, and that's exactly kind of where I was going with this. And I think with this coaching staff, such a large coaching staff, it gives you a little bit more to lean on, with talent evaluation, and I think this is to me, I'm a little bit more comfortable this year than I was last year. But after seeing what they did last year, Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles, and I know they have input on a lot of the moves that are going to be made. I'm comfortable with kind of where they are so far and where they're going.
I love the draft class. I mean, Mike Edwards is still. I love what Mike Edwards brings to the safety position. I just think that someone in the back, should be a mentor for them, especially all the young guys, and that'll come, with Justin Evans being healthy and stuff like that. Injuries definitely didn't help last year, but you had Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy Bunting, and the top, as far as like pass defenses go, Sean Murphy Bunting led the team with 3 interceptions last year. Jamel Dean had like 17 or 15 passes defended, which was top 5 in the league. Like they have the physical attributes that this team needs. Fast, hard hitters in football. Aggressive ball skills.
Right.
You pair that with Carlton Davis, who's kind of making a name for himself now, and that secondary is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, most definitely. The one thing that I will say, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I would have loved to have seen them getting a veteran in the secondary. I don't mean a Pro Bowl veteran, just somebody who could help the younger guys with the nuances of the game, and possibly bring them along a little bit faster than what we're seeing. So I think I've got my fingers crossed here, and I think the biggest thing for me is that they would be able to pick up where they left off, this defense, and continue to have a productive season. Starting out of the gates faster than what we've seen over the past few years.
I think that's kind of been the biggest surprise for me as well, is not having a veteran secondary presence at all. Like I thought that was going to be one of the biggest needs in free agency was going to be some kind of secondary help, whether it be a veteran cornerback or a veteran safety, and that could still happen.
Right.
I mean, they signed Ndamukong Suh in June of last year.
Yeah.
So there's still a bunch of time, and they might wait till after the draft to see what happens. But so that's kind of a little bit of an iffy one for me, just because, like I said, I mean, they had a great season. Don't get me wrong; they definitely impressed me a hell of a whole lot. But like you said, I think having somewhere back there who's seasoned, who knows the game, and has just been around for a few years and that knows certain things could help them. But I think on the front seven side of things, they're going to be excellent. We saw how much JPP changed the whole mentality of that team once he came back in week 9. And after that, I mean, they really kicked it up a notch. You've got JPP, Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, then who's going to be there now? Golston, and then Barrett. Like that's
and Golston is so underrated. It really makes me want to yell very loud when I hear people trashing him on Twitter, because I don't think people realize what he actually has done for this team quietly. I mean, just them shutting down the run the way they have. That's what I'm really looking forward to, especially when you look around, especially the NFC South. You've got Christian McCaffrey, who just recently got a huge payday, a well-deserved payday, by the way. I'm gonna go out there and say it, well-deserved payday. And then you've got Todd Gurley coming to Atlanta, and just having those guys back, keeping those guys healthy. And, I'm really looking forward to Vita Vea to see what he can do with 2 NFL seasons under his belt. And, does he improve? Does he take that next step? I mean, what are we going to see from him? So a lot of things, to think about here. I just, again, when you talk about the defense, you can't help but get a little bit excited.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, you have the sack leader still on your team. You have JPP, who had, 8.5 sacks in 9 games. I mean,
that's freakish.
Those two alone is insane. And then you have Vita Vea, who you can't stop the guy. I think he's one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful DT in the game right now. Like, you tell me, I will wait. You name someone who's moving people the way Vita Vea is moving, and I'll call you a liar, because there's no one else doing it. The man is like 22 years old, just throwing these 300-pound men. He's throwing all pro ball linemen. Like, people sleep on this man. Like,
he's running down running backs and tight ends too. I mean, he's in plays. I mean, when you see the camera go away from a play, next thing you know, you see Vita Vea over there towards the end of the play. I mean, this guy has got a high motor, and it's just exciting to watch him. And I think that, after the injury, he's done nothing but improve as he's continued to go on. And I've talked to a friend of mine, and he doesn't like Vita Vea because he liked Derwin James. Oh. And I really, he's one of those. So listen. we get into these. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm gonna say this real quick. One, people don't like Vita Vea because he, quote, doesn't get sacks. It's so stupid.
He's not supposed to.
That's the point, man. People are like, he's a defensive tackle, he should be getting sacks. That's not how it works. Okay? You don't know football, you're just looking at stats. I don't want to hear it. Second, Vita Vea has literally been throwing men around. People don't like the guy because Derwin James is supposed to be the pick. You know what? Derwin James would not have saved the secondary from what was happening in it. I don't care. Debate a wall. He was not here. He wouldn't have worked out. I mean, he would have worked out, but he would have not had the season that he had in the Chargers.
But I think the point that gets missed is the Chargers already had a good defense going into that draft.
People, listen, Gene, if people don't want facts, they just want their own perfect world where they want players to play for their college team. Okay, it's just how it works.
Yeah, definitely. And let me get back to I'm getting back here to the chat. There's some really interesting stuff in here. I feel that unless we have some sort of rare, unlikely chance to get Tua or Burrows, there's no need to move up in the draft. Take an offensive tackle, then get a pass catching back like J.K. Dobbins or Cam Akers in the second. If the Bucs do trade up, cap-wise, we probably save money by losing a pick or two. If the Bucs get two vets after the draft, it's been said $7.8 million needed for draft picks, so losing the picks save money.
Oh my God, you can't listen. I understand where they're trying to go with this, but no. You can make cap space, okay? Listen, the Chiefs just signed Rashad Breeland today for a 1-year contract, and they had $177 of cap space. Not $1,077, $177. So no, you don't need to waste a draft pick because you need cap space.
Yeah,
the cap is a myth. I've determined that the cap is a myth.
Yeah, Mickey Loomis of the Saints, the GM for the Saints, is a very good example of that. And it's just, he finds a way to make it work. I mean, they're supposed to have been in salary cap hell for the past decade, and they continuously are able to get picks in there. The Bucs have 2 fourth-round picks, and we need to draft 2 backs in this draft and use 1 for kick returners. Yeah, special teams has been atrocious, man. I mean, it's been.
I don't know about 2 running backs. I think 2 wide receivers, if anything.
Yeah, because and we haven't gotten to the the third the number three wide receiver, which I know that they're going to have to go to the draft to get a number three wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens here.
Perfect.
Let's see. Rex Dillon, what's going on? Rex Dillon, demand shooter in the stash. I don't have it from the neck up. I can still do things. Frank G. So who doesn't have the physical tools but has it from the neck up? I think you need both. Frank G. And this is my thing. There are people that have the physical tools, but they just don't have that edge, that desire to play. I mean, they're there and they play. I mean, like I don't know if you guys remember, Ricky Williams was not 100% into the game. He just it wasn't his main thing. There
You
have
want
been
to know?
players.
You want to know who has the tools to an extent, but has been an absolute like letdown, and it's not a Bucks player.
Who's
And
that?
Mitch Trubisky,
Yeah,
Bears quarterback, Mitch
yeah,
Trubisky. After that game, I think it was Thanksgiving, where this guy, I mean, literally ran away from contact to pick up a first down. Like you're down by 2.5 scores, and you're not gonna at least attempt to get a first down. Like you don't have that mentality. You don't have that
yeah,
killer instinct.
yeah. There you go. So again, I'm not like questioning people's work ethic or anything like that. I mean, when you look at people, they you hear people talk about the eye test. Does he looks like a quarterback? He's size, range and all that, and then when you watch them, they just don't have it. And that's all I'm saying. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot when you get players. You don't know if you're getting a player that's going to be able to step out on the field. You can't 100% guarantee that anybody that you draft is going to be that guy.
Hey man, Jamarcus Russell. That's like the number one like example of that.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember that, man. Last year's draft class was great because Bruce Arians was in the room. You can tell by how clean it was, and definitely wasn't light the whole time. Would you agree with that statement?
Hmm. I mean,
There's a lot of credence to what Roast Smash is saying there.
okay. So I don't know. I think this year, if it goes as cleanly as it did last year, will definitely be more of a telltale for that. I think that Light has hit on quite a few picks, but he has
Hmm.
made a couple of questionable decisions.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I don't think Jason Light, has missed very often. I think that, like you said, you get players that you think are going to be great and they just don't pan out. That doesn't really mean you're a bad GM. I mean, has he made a couple
no,
questionable picks? Absolutely, like I said. But you can't just put all of the praise for Jason Light, and you can't just put all of the praise on Arians either. I think
hmm
the relationship that Arians and Light have, along with Todd Bowles being in the decision making room as well, definitely helped out a lot. I think they're all on the same page. They all have a relationship together. So, it's not just okay, him and Dirk Cutter who don't have that same kind of relationship. You got to remember
right,
that Arians and Light have been friends for forever.
yeah,
And Arians trust Todd Bowles. I mean, Todd Bowles turned a defense that was dead last in passes yard allowed or 32nd in the league in pass defense and turned it around in a half a season. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
think that it's both their relationship that they share, um, and also the player analysis from the coaches. So I think it's equal parts praise for that. I think after this draft, depending on what happens, maybe you can put more praise on the Arian side. But
yeah.
for right now, I'm going to leave it 50-50 because, like I said, Light has made mistakes, absolutely, but he's also had quite a few great picks.
Yeah, yeah, he has. I mean, when you look at Quan Alexander going to San Francisco, you have Adam Humphries, undrafted free agent that ended up going to the Tennessee. There have been a lot of players that have gone elsewhere after their time with Tampa. So most definitely, the moves that he's made, he has made good moves. But again,
I mean, he
sometimes he
did
does.
land Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. I mean,
Yeah,
like
and
at some point, you have to give the guy praise.
Yeah, and he does draft in a vacuum, so whatever he's going to do is what he's going to do. So there is that. And it's funny because I've had people that have stopped watching the show because I refuse to like go like all in on Bruce Arians, not Bruce Arians, but Jason Light for some of the moves that he's made. I'm like, yeah, well, we'll just kind of, to me, I want to wait and see how it all pans out before I say, okay, this is my opinion of this general manager. Just like I didn't really go in on Mark Dominic, who I couldn't stand until after he was gone, because I can look at his body of work and compare his body of work to Bruce Allen, to Rich McKay, Wayne Fonts, or some of the other GMs.
Bruce Allen.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I want to see what his body of work is, and you can compare all his ups and his downs. And I know wins and losses are huge, but I look at some of the coaching moves, the coaching moves that the Bucks have made, and again, it's a collective injuries, coaches. There's just a lot of different things that go into making that decision. This is why this is why this team ended up the way they did. So that's just my take on it. I would rather wait and see what he does after he's gone, see what his legacy is, to really say if he was a good GM or not.
Right.
And
I agree with you.
Mr. Everything Bucks, Gene, what I guess what he was mentioning, Miami has 3 first-round picks. Say they draft 2 wide receivers and pick a quarterback with their 3 picks in the first round. We should be able to get our guy, because that's going to change. So basically, he's saying that they have a lot of influence in the draft, kind of like Cleveland did when Cleveland had all those picks in the first round a few years ago. So
Miami controls the draft right now, in my opinion. I mean, I guess you could make the same evaluation with the Bengals, but unlike last year where they had that kind of bit of a controversy thing with the Cardinals about needing a new quarterback, I think the Bengals are dead set on getting Joe Burrow. I don't think there's any kind of controversy. But the Dolphins control this draft for everybody else pretty much in the first 20 picks, because let's say they trade back for one, they can get even more picks if they wanted for next year. They could be waiting for Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson next year. So it's all going to depend on what they do, I think, with their picks.
Yeah, because I mean they're in pretty much of a rebuild mode. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they got rid of half their roster. I mean, don't get me wrong, though. I'll give the Dolphins credit. Their free agency has been incredible. They've definitely added some really, potent pieces to their defense. I think they need a quarterback. I think they need a couple more wide receivers. I think they need some linebackers. But, they've definitely added some valuable pieces, some players that I'm like, they're good. They got Byron Jones at cornerback. They've got Xavier Howard at cornerback. Those are 2 solid guys.
Yeah.
So like that person's saying, if they do 2 wide receivers and a quarterback, it all just depends who falls.
Right.
My personal favorite offensive tackle would be Jedrick Wills.
I'm right there with you.
I think he's going to be the best tackle available. Mm-hmm. Andrew Thomas would also be a very solid option because he can start right away. But if I had my pick, Jedrick Wills is going to be the guy that I would want in Tampa at 14.
But I think the one thing that gets me is these are all 4 offensive linemen in this draft are very talented, and linemen are like gold. Quality linemen are like gold in the NFL. I mean, if you look over the past decade, how many quality offensive linemen have really come through the draft? I mean, come out that you can say, oh man, he was amazing. One of the ones that stand out to me is for the Colts, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. God, I need to stop drinking. And I know that because he was the guy that I wanted the Bucks to draft, and
was it last year?
Year before last, I believe. I'll tell you.
James? No, not Derwin James. Dalvin Cook?
No, he was a offensive lineman.
Jonah Williams?
No. God. I hate it when this happens. Somebody's going to tell me here in the draft.
last one,
Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson. Man, whew, that one still hurts. I mean, give credit to the Colts, man. They
Yeah.
took up the opportunity, but he would have been a Buck if he didn't get picked. And that guy's a monster. I love
Yeah.
watching him play.
Yeah, and he was a guy that he would have been great because this is one of those linemen that he's plug and play. And when I've been saying earlier, it goes against what I've been saying, but I think that Quentin Nelson is a freak of nature, and he's shown that in the NFL since he's been in just how good he really is. So this is a guy that I'm like, wow, he would have been ideal. And that's what I say. I mean, when you look at the span of time, as far as draft picks go, we'll go back a decade. You really haven't had you've had draft picks that have been serviceable. I think the Bucks were fortunate to get an Ali Marpet, where they did. I think that he's a quality lineman as well. So it's very rare to get this many high quality linemen, and you hope that they all pan out throughout this draft here.
I mean, I think all of the big four are definitely plug and play, like you said. Like, I think all four of them are going to be immediate starters.
Yeah, definitely. We still need to draft someone. We still need to draft some safeties in this draft. Again, with injuries, depth at safety has been somewhat of an issue. I would say, for quite some time. Just either keeping them on the field healthy or just getting somebody that's a quality player back there. So yeah, I could definitely. Go ahead.
I think I'm going to say no.
Really?
Okay, hear me out.
Okay. Hey, this is a safe zone. There's, you're feel free to say what you want to say, and you're good.
Okay, so just listen, hear me out real quick, okay? So we have Justin Evans, okay? I think after the whole year of having, the off season, time to heal, I think he'll be back. You have Jordan Whitehead, who's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
Guy's incredible, especially when he's healthy. He's one of my favorite players on the team. Then you have Mike Edwards, who's going to be, better in his second year. And then everyone's forgetting about Dakota Dixon, who Arian said would have been the starter if he had not torn his ACL during minicamp. And then they added Andrew Adams back again this year as well. That's already 5 safeties in the room. Wow. 5 safeties who all have a year under their belt in the system.
There you go. All right.
Right now, I don't think so. Okay, maybe in like the later picks of the draft, like 5, 6, 7, maybe with the comp 4th pick, but I don't think it's going to be a immediate need. Now, unless someone incredible falls to like the 2nd or 3rd round, I could see that. But right now, I don't think it's a pressing need.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely bodies in that room that have, seen the system. But injuries, like you said, have taken their toll. But, you got Jordan Whitehead, Justin Evans, Dakota Dixon. There's definitely guys that can be serviceable in the back of the defense.
Yeah. I think a lot of that, and to your point, I think a lot of that has to do with your front seven, getting pressure on the quarterback, playing smart football, playing in your assignments. Great, and it was incredible to see the communication on the back end of the season. Where players were playing together, and it didn't look like the same team that you saw at the beginning of the season. As the season progressed. So I totally agree with you. And when you consider, thinking about it, the injuries that you saw in that secondary and how they ended up playing, I think this you may have a great point there in getting some of these guys back. Go ahead.
Also, MJ Stewart, who I don't, in my mind, I don't see him really panning out as a corner. I don't think he's fast enough. I don't think he has the tools for it. But they had him play some safety last season, and he was decent.
He was. I used the word serviceable. I thought he was very serviceable as a safety.
And then that's 6 bodies at that point. You have 6 bodies who can play safety.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a pressing need, like I said, unless someone amazing drops like the 3rd round, or at the end of the draft they find someone they really think could be a project guy. So I personally, like I said, just my opinion, I personally say no to more safety unless it's going to be a vet or a late round pick.
So, we've kind of talked about the offensive line. We talked about running back. What what other pressing needs do you see the Buccaneers having right now? I mean, in order to get this team to where they're looking at the playoffs, or because like I said, and I'm going to continue to say that this year, that's where my expectations are: playoffs, not 8-8, not anything less than the Bucks getting to the playoffs. For me right now, those are my expectations. So in thinking that way, uh, are the Bucks making any picks for? Are they picking anybody up that they could potentially have? After Brady's gone, or after Bruce Arians retires, and whoever inherits this team. How do you see them? This is a very important draft, to be very honest. Considering what they did, getting Tom Brady, getting an offensive lineman, and re-signing some of their defensive guys. This is a very important draft to fill some of these holes. What do you see as other needs?
This is a crucial draft, like you said. You know, Brady and Arians aren't going to be here forever.
Right.
But
Right.
at the same time, they've said, they're not going to reach for a quarterback in this draft. If some guy that they see falls, and it's a prime pick at a prime time, they're going to take them. Now, I don't think it's going to be very early in the draft, unless maybe third or fourth you consider early. But another position that's just, it's imperative at this point that they get done is a defensive lineman. And you might be saying, well, what do you mean? They're all their guys back. Sure. But you have JPP, who's over 30. You have Sue, who's on a 1-year contract, and he's over 30. You need guys to, bolster that defense. You need someone to learn from these guys. And also, like you said, kick return and third wide receiver. I love Scotty Miller's speed. I think he, if he puts on a little bit of weight and just, learns his routes a little bit better, because that was my biggest thing with him, was being so lost in the field.
Yeah.
That just, in my mind, was just awful. I at times were like, just get him off the field. Like, there's nothing to see here. But at the end of the season, when he started getting more opportunity, he was making the most of it before he got hurt. So I think a third wide receiver and special teams has to be something that they address immediately, because special teams was an absolute horror to watch last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you were on the edge of your seat, just waiting for something to happen, and you just don't want to go through that. That's something that it should be. These are things that should be addressed, and there needs to be. And I understand there needs to be balance on both sides, but these are things that have been glaring holes. I mean, they've continuously rotated people in at punt return, kick return. There were times where I just was like, man, just get this dude off the field. And
I don't think anybody who was on kick returns last year will be on the team this year. That's my bold take. I don't think Ogunbowale will be here this year. I don't think Justin Watson's going to have to fight for a roster spot, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to stay on the team. Boba Wilson's gone. And who else was back there? TJ Logan. They might keep as another running back.
Just because of his familiarity with the team, right?
Yeah, I kind of like the way he ran too as well when he had opportunities. And they're going to need someone to take over for, I think they're going to need at least 3 running backs. And right now they only have 2 with Ogunbowale, I think. Yeah,
they have Ogunbowale, Ronald Jones, and who's the third one? I think you might be right. And TJ Logan would be the third one, right?
I think there's one more that they signed to the practice squad, Cedric something. But I don't see how they make the team unless there's, without competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see the hype with Ogunbowale. Like I said, I like TJ Logan as a runner, but they need a true return man, a true wide receiver with speed back there.
Yeah, a Michael Spurlock type player.
So I think if I had my dream scenario, they draft 2 linemen, a defensive lineman a little bit earlier in the draft, and 2 wide receivers. And everyone's be like, why that? But these are pressing issues. You need a third wide receiver. You have no wide receiver depth, honestly.
Yeah.
You have Scotty Miller, who's, like I said, I think he's going to be good. He just needs to put, more time on the field.
Yeah.
Dustin Watson's a big question mark for me, but there's no one after that. You had
Hyman. But it's such a steep drop off from Chris Godwin to whoever your number 3. Let's say it is Scotty Miller. That is such a steep drop off from Godwin to Miller. So again, it's just one of those. one of those things. You're right; they should address it. Um, I'm gonna go back in here to the chat. Shooter in the stash. Gene loves the Falcons. This guy. This guy, he always comes at me. I'm always nice to him. I'm nothing but nice to him, and he always abuses me. So I've come to expect that. Um, this year's NFC South is going to be harder to win games than ever before. It's gonna be tough. I've seen the moves that the Saints have made. Atlanta's made moves. Um, even Carolina. I don't know what to really expect from Carolina. I'm not sure what we're going to see from those guys this year, but I know they're always competitive. Regardless, this is the NFL. Brady versus Breeze is going to be a war, according to Mister Everything Bucks. Vita Vea is still learning to play at a pro level and is spectacular to watch. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited about Vita Vea. We don't need a bell cow back. A 25 to 30 carry back would take away touches from our pass catchers. We need a pass catching running back. To that point, rarely even. I'm going to say this again. I've made this hot take before. I believe that Ronald Jones' hands are underrated. And I think, with a quarterback like a Tom Brady, he will be a weapon. I'm really looking forward to that speed in space. So, I would like to see another running back in here with Ronald Jones, but I'm going to say that, with his hands, I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. What are your thoughts, Ash? Uh-oh, did I lose her? Unbelievable. Give me a second. I think I may have lost Ashlie. Did I lose her? I think I lost her. Hold on one second. We'll see if we can get her back on here. But anyway, I'm going to go through the chat here. How does this look? Rose Smash. First round, Andrew Thomas. Second round, J.K. Dobbins. Third round, K.J. Hill. Fourth round, Nate Stanley. I actually like Nate Stanley. Julian Blackman. And Michael Divinity seventh. And Neville Clark. All right. So that would be good too. I mean, I could see some of those picks. Again, I'm horrible with the draft, so bear with me on that. I don't, I like the guys. I've actually gotten to look at some of the players that you have mentioned here, and I could see some of those guys getting drafted. So that's an interesting mock draft that you have there. Frank G. Vita Vea is a run stopper, not a sack rusher. You're right. That's exactly right, and he's shown that. That's why it was important for Vea to work with a veteran. Yeah, and I totally agree. Buccaneer Bruce, evening, Gene. How you doing? Everything good? What's so wrong with Ronald Jones? He's much improved from last year, running and catching the ball, rarely even. I'm right there with you. Clutch Sports, we can grab Adrian Killins, running back out of USC, kick returner in the 6th round. I disagree. We have no backs after Jones. Killins would be a great day 3 pick. Our guest is EMT Ashlie, who I just lost her. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get her back on here. Hopefully her phone didn't die. Hold on one second here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I could get her back on here one more time. Oh, the wonders of technology. This is what you look forward to. This is kind of what you have to deal with when you go live. So let's go through. I'm going to finish going through here real quick. Zach Moss would be a killer at kick returners. Barber's gone to the Redskins. We have no backfield. Eric Hardnett, what's going on? I don't think we need a third wide receiver. I'm a Scotty Miller fan. Yeah, but again, I mean, you saw what happened after all the different wide receivers went down last year. Again, it's just getting that one person that um, you can rely on as at number three, like you saw with Perryman on the back end of the season. So let's see. Give me a second here. I'm trying to. But Rose Smash, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think Arians did have some influence on a lot of the picks, and I felt like that in my mind that was a lot of the reason that the draft was a little bit cleaner. And yeah, again, there's no perfect GM out there. Every GM has whiffed on moves, and like I was saying, I just want to wait until basically the end of his career. Let's see what we have here. Let's see what his body of work shows. But recently, I thought he's done pretty good with draft picks and free agency. I mean, you get the NFL sack leader in free agency. I mean, that's huge. So I think that he's made some moves. So I'm trying to get Ashlie back on here. I tell you what, technology is so frustrating at times. And let's see. It says waiting to join. All right, give me a second here. Let's see if we can fix this. Trying to figure out what happened here. Everything is good. Oh. Wonder what happened. So. All right, I'm trying to get Ashlie back on here. This is one of those things. This is Matthew Kitchell. What's going on? Give me a second here, and we will try to get Ashlie back on here. And we'll try this. All right. So, hey, what's up, buddy? Algebra's in the house. So we'll try to see if we can get her back on. I see Bucko Bruce is covering up the Jayhawk. What are you and Ashley's thoughts on Devin White? I can't wait to get her back on here. That's a good subject to talk about. Devin White has been. I have been so excited to be wrong about him because I wanted a defensive lineman last year. I wanted them to get somebody in there to address the trenches. So for me, I was really happy that Devin White has played as good as he has, and he's one of those guys that I'm really I'm glad he's a Buck, and I cannot wait to see what he does in his sophomore year as an NFL player. So definitely somebody I'm looking forward to. Let's see if we can. See if we can get her back on here. Here we go. So I think, Ashlie, are you there?
Hey, sorry about that.
Okay, hold on one second. We'll get you back in here. Okay. Can everybody hear Ashlie?
Hello. Sorry,
all right.
my thing timed out.
So, interesting question. Once Rarely Even was asking, what are your thoughts on Devin White's rookie season? And do you think he's a superstar in the making?
Oh, I can't say enough good things about Devin White. I mean, the kid played week 1 after staying in the hospital for a week or a couple days with tonsillitis. He played the next day and had, 8 tackles. I mean, he put up nearly 100 tackles and 2.5 sacks, like 4 forced fumbles in only 13 games having played after his MCL sprain. I mean, yeah, he had a lot of broken assignments, but you got to remember, after coming back from an injury, he's still a rookie.
Yeah.
He was put with the green dot immediately once he got on the field. So that's a big responsibility. That means that you are leading that defense and everything they do. And I think he's accepted that role and really made it, the best opportunity that he could. I mean, I think he's going to be the Levante David of the next 10 years for the Bucks.
And it's interesting you say that. Uh, do you feel like, was he an upgrade over a Quan Alexander, or do you think that was a lateral move? Or, I mean,
Ooh,
for me,
asking the hard questions, Gene.
For me, because from what I saw, there's really not enough game film because Quan was injured. I really felt like the angles that he took, he's a sure tackler, and just didn't take chances on plays. I'm like I said, I don't want to be mean, but I actually forgot about Quan, throughout the season, just getting to watch some of the plays that this kid has made.
I think that what I loved so much about Quan was him being such a vocal leader.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing, and don't get me wrong, I love Quan. Quan was one of my favorite players when he was here.
Uh-huh.
I'm very sad that he left, but I'm very happy for him that he has the opportunity he has in the 49ers. So when I say this, please don't think I don't like the man, because I do. I think that Quan overshoots some of his tackles. I think that Quan misreads a lot. And that was one of the biggest issues, is that he took very head-scratching angles when he was beat, with the speed, with running backs and such like that, and especially tight ends. A great vocal guy, and he's that player that'll hit you and you'll feel it the next day. Don't get me wrong, but I think that Devin White is an upgrade in the aspect that, yes, Devin White has a lot more speed. Devin White, was the leader of the defense at LSU, and that kind of has already, transitioned into the NFL, where now he's working alongside one of the greatest Buccaneers, I think, all time, Levante David, who's been such a staple of the defense. He's not only learning from him, but he's getting a chance to take over that same role. I think his speed and his ability to, read the defenses already as a rookie last year are only going to help him. I think he has a great group of guys around him, and Devin White is easily becoming one of my favorite players. I mean, he has the attitude, the play to back it up, and he loves here. He loves being here.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. What I was gonna say is just there were times where Quan was a liability in coverage, and you didn't really see that. I mean, you saw him a few times where he looked unsure, but you didn't see it consistently. It was like, okay, right. I got beat on that play. I know what I need to do next time. So, here's one of those guys that, he's really adjusting to the NFL, and his skill set is translating into the NFL. Rarely.
Yeah, I think Devin White is going to be one of the top linebackers in the league. I mean, he has the speed. He's not a very big guy at 6 foot. But as a linebacker, it's not really like a tell-all. You don't have to be some massive guy.
Yeah. You just have to be a smart player. You're basically the quarterback of the defense. So, just being a smart guy.
If you look at Dwight, Devin White, if you look at him the first 8 games and the last 8 games, I mean, he's making plays all over the field. He had a fumble return for a touchdown. He laid out Titans punter. He picked off Minshew, had a couple huge tackles on Leonard Fournette against the Jags. I mean, he really picked it up the last end of the season. I think that's going to translate with, like I said, another whole off season to train, even with everything going on right now with COVID, and a second year under the Bulls defense where, everyone is still learning, and they're going to be, honing in on what, Todd Bowles wants from them, and I think he's only going to get better. I mean, I think the sky's the limit for this kid.
Yeah, I too
much. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah, he really is, and I totally agree with you. Rarely even was saying I like Sean Murphy Bunting, and it kind of goes back to what you were talking about. Just how this guy has played, and if they redid the draft, a lot of some of these players wouldn't be Buccaneers if they redid the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Triple Bar, yo, remember when I said we were getting new uniforms? And yeah, I do remember that. What are your thoughts on the uniform? Since he brought that up, that'll be my next question there for you. What do you?
Oh, they're so beautiful. They're so nice.
Please, yeah, okay. So if you're going number 1, number 2, number 3, what is your number 1 rank uniform? Would it be the number 1 ranked jersey? Would it be the pewter or the white?
You're talking about the new ones?
The new ones.
That white, something different. Listen, I love the pewter, but that white is icy. It's so nice. That white has to be number 1 for me. I want a couple different jerseys in white. That's how nice I think it looks.
Yeah.
But the pewter is beautiful.
Yeah.
I just don't think we're going to see it very often. I think they said we can only wear it 3 times during the regular season. So that's kind of a bummer. But, I mean, that white is so nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree with you.
I think I'd go white 1, pewter 2, and then the red 3. Not that the red is bad, but the white and the pewter just hit different.
Okay, so maybe, and this is, I'm gonna have to be different here. I'm gonna go. I love the pewter. I think it might be because of the newness that I love the pewter, but I have to go red because that's what the Bucs were wearing when they won the Super Bowl. Then white and then pewter, but that's just me. And that's kind of where I'm at with the jerseys. But I would probably, oddly enough, end up with a pewter one because I have a whole bunch of red jerseys. So if I were to purchase one, it would probably be that Mike Evans pewter would be the one that I would be looking at.
Man, listen, I have one jersey, right? One. Like, I have one jersey. And it's a red Levante David jersey. And I love that thing, but I'm definitely going to have to get a white, and I'm definitely going to have to get a pewter. I don't know who I'm going to get yet, but you just brought up somebody, and I saw his jersey on his timeline, right?
Uh-huh.
And I immediately was like, I need this. This is beautiful. And he changed his number, and that's Sean Murphy-Bunting.
Yeah, you know what? That would be a cool jersey. I just, I don't know. I want... When I've been thinking about this, I've got players now. I can kind of go down my list.
But
the one jersey that I am missing is a Warren Sapp, which who's like my favorite all time Bucks. He kind of surpassed Doug Williams and Ricky Bell for me. But a Warren Sapp would be the jersey that I would really want ultimately. But Mike Evans, I love Mike Evans, so I would get him.
I'm gonna get Mike and Peter, I think.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking right there is Mike Evans in pewter.
Listen, when a player follows you back on Twitter, you have to get their jersey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if they don't, I mean, that's
what I'm saying though. Like when I was thinking about what jerseys I want, I was like, damn, I can't not get Mike now. Like.
Hey, Frank G, thank you. Algebra appreciates that when he wakes up. Oh, he's back there cleaning himself or whatever he's doing. Thank you for that, though. Yeah. Again, these jerseys, I think that was needed. It's good to kind of get rid of those alarm clock numbers. I'm looking forward to the jerseys. I mean, I think the Nike redeemed themselves with these jerseys. And, I'm happy to have things back to the way they were, and it's going to be great to have that. You get Tom Brady, you get jerseys. I mean, it's great. You get your sack leader, Shaq Barrett, back in the fold, which we haven't got to talk about him too much this show. But here's a guy, I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. He is going to be a nightmare for defensive or offensive coordinators just because of the way he's played. And he has natural ability. And what I mean by that is he was playing at a high level before JPP came back. And he continued on that trajectory after JPP was back. So I don't believe that this is a one-off season for him. If he can stay healthy, I 100% believe that he's going to have a similar season. He's going to be a problem for a lot of offensive linemen. What do you think?
Listen, I'll go as far as to say this. First of all, Like I said, I agree with you 1,000%. I don't think it's a one and done season. You have to look at it this way: that the defensive line that they have now is going to be so dominant. It's going to be a problem for any offensive line. Like, you take the best offensive line in the league, let's just say the Cowboys, just for an example, because they have a great offensive line, even if we don't like them. They're going to be a problem. They're a problem. You have JPP on one side, you have Barrett on the other, you have Villa in the middle, and then you have a guy like Golson who can also get it done.
Yeah.
And same with Sue.
Right.
So it's really more so pick your poison. But I will go as far as to say that Shaq Barrett has another double-digit sack season.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I will say it right now, months in advance, that this man has another double-digit sack season.
Yep. And I'm going to be right there with you. I will say, if he can stay 100% healthy, you will see the same thing you saw last year. You will see it. And that's a huge reason why they brought him in. And when you consider he was sitting behind two really good edge rushers in Denver, and the Bucs were able to get him here. The Bucs are very fortunate to have a player of this caliber on this team. And, from the sounds of things, and I've seen some of your tweets, this is a guy that's glad to be in Tampa. So as another big reason, to have him here, which I'm super excited about.
He loves being here. He's just happy that he had the opportunity, and he loves what the Bucs are about right now. He believes in the staff. He believes in the other players, and listen, this man could have went anywhere and gotten a payday for 18, 20 million. I mean,
Easily.
It's unfortunate he got franchise tagged, but he was willing to take a pay cut after his first time ever being able to be a starter, just to stay in Tampa, a small market team.
Mm-hmm. So
that speaks volumes in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, that this is EMT Ashlie. If you're not following her on Twitter, you really should. Very entertaining. She is the host of the Talk the Plank podcast. When she does produce these, and I'm not putting you on the spot, when she does produce them, these are very entertaining, great content. As you can tell, she's really up on the game, keeping up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and greatly appreciated. A longtime friend of the show, and hopefully I'll get to have her on more often as the season progresses. With this COVID-19, I hope that people are being safe, and to me, that's like the number one important thing is everybody's health. Making sure everybody is adhering to the social distancing. I think it's cool that podcasts and stuff like this really brings everybody together. So, we can discuss football and stuff like that. So, again, just, with everybody being safe, that's important. To my next point, this is a weird season. You're not going to have your normal camp. You're not going to have your OTAs. It concerns me. I don't want to see people injured or, things of that sort, but it just concerns me that, how are these teams going to, how are they going to be able to get their game plans in order? You've got a new quarterback in Tampa, which I don't think that's so much of a big deal because he is the consummate professional and he is a veteran. So for the Buccaneers, I think they're fortunate to have Tom Brady as a quarterback. I don't think he will need as much time to prepare as some of your other teams. I mean, look at Carolina bringing in a Teddy Bridgewater, and you have a new head coach. So, they're kind of put in an odd position where they don't have the time to get these players together and work. And you see that in certain places throughout the NFL.
I think they just implemented a virtual offseason where they can send programs and stuff to teams or something like that. They released something on, I think, Friday or Sunday or something like that, where they can give out programs and they can have OTAs virtually and stuff like that. But it is concerning that they can't really get on the field with Tom Brady and build that chemistry. Of course, that's going to be a factor. The longer they're not able to get out there, the more of a chance you have miscommunications and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be imperative that, they do have time to work together in person. But I also think that the type of person that Tom Brady is, he will get players out to him immediately. Like, I mean, he flew Josh Gordon to his house
Yeah.
last season. So, I mean, Tom Brady's that type of player. He's that
Yeah.
type of guy.
He's a consummate
I've
professional. He
hated him
wants
for
to
years
win.
on end, but he's always been that team player that he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure his guys are ready.
Yep, and it took me a couple of weeks to get to where I am now, but I'm actually excited to have Tom Brady here because I've disliked him for so long, and now he's a Buccaneer, so he's our starting quarterback, and I'm all in. Triple Bar was asking, how do you feel about Chris Godwin giving up his number?
About Godwin giving up his number?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the GOAT. It's the GOAT,
Yeah.
baby. It was going to happen regardless. I know it's a very important number for Chris Godwin. I don't know if this is 100% correct, but if I remember correctly, it was because he was living at 12th Avenue in Delaware, amongst other things, and why it's so important to him. And I know eventually he's hoping he can go back to number 12 because, like I said, it's so important to him. But, I mean, it's the GOAT.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was going to happen. I think he understands it. I think it's just, one of those things. But, I mean, I think he's okay with it. I don't see it as a huge deal. I mean, I think if Chris Godwin really wanted it that badly, Brady would have gave it to him. He was going to give Mohamed Sanu number 12 when he came from Atlanta. So I think it was just out of respect for the greatness of the GOAT to give him the number and just be like, welcome to the team. This is, we're all behind you type deal.
Yeah, I agree. Either way, it's a team game, and I think that was great that he did give up the number, and it's something that you knew that was going to happen because it is, like you said, it is Tom Brady. So I'm really again I'm looking forward to the season. I want to see what this wide receiver core is capable of doing. So it should be interesting. Rarely Even says, we thought Mike Smith's defense was going to be dominant a year or two. This is why I'm lukewarm on Todd Bowles. That's understandable. Again, I mean, and I will say this. Like I said, this is a safe zone. I'm not gonna trash anybody's opinion, or even if I don't 100% agree. But it's what the Bucs have shown you. So I totally understand why you feel the way you do right now. And I would ask you this, Rarely Even, longtime listener, if the Bucs defense does improve and you see a lot more from them, will you be a little bit more comfortable going into 2021 with Todd Bowles as the defensive coordinator? So I'll wait and see. I'll wait and see what his.
Listen, Todd Bowles turned this entire defense around, in my mind. Like, they went from, what was it, like very bottom of the league stats in 2018 to number 7 in sacks. Like, I know they still struggle defensively with the passing yards, especially with having a bunch of rookies. But even then, like, they clipped the best wide receiver in the league. Like, they stopped DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Like, that in itself is an entire, like, accomplishment. Like, I think that another season under Todd Bowles is going to just be even better. And they have the number 1 ranked defense. So I understand Mike Smith has traumatized us all, but he traumatized me after that Chicago game. But I think you got to put a little bit more faith in Todd Bowles. Like I said, I understand the apprehension, but I think he's proved quite a bit in the first season.
Yeah, and to be honest, Ashley, on this show, my thing is, because of how the Bucs have played over the past decade, there's no wrong way, in my opinion, to root for this team, because you're trying to get through things until you get to a place where the Bucs are winning. So when I hear people say things, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. I may not agree with it, but I understand where you're coming from, and that's kind of where I'm at. And I think, when you look at social media, I think that gets missed a lot too, because people are like real quick to jump on somebody that has a different opinion than you do about the same subject, which I think is what makes, what I like about, social media. Oh, Buccaneer Bruce said, Ashley, quit using the restroom because I guess you're making. Hey, I don't
Hey
know what.
man, I'm not in the bathroom. Just making something to eat real quick,
Oh,
honestly.
she's actually doing double duty here. She's doing a podcast and eating at the same, or fixing her something to eat at the same time. So, um, props to you for that. I
But listen, I
appreciate.
get it. I get the apprehension. I'm there with you. Um, Believe me, I'm
Yeah,
right there with you. But I think Todd Bowles is the most competent defensive coordinator we've had in a while.
yeah.
Like,
And it's interesting. Mister Everything's Bucks had something really cool to say, and I actually agree with this. Some coaches are better at being coordinators than being head coaches because when you're a head coach, you're focused on everything,
mm-hmm.
and your focus is the team as a whole. Whereas when you're a coordinator, you're only focused on a certain part of it. So that's kind of where we are with that.
I think Todd Bowles is a brilliant defensive coordinator, especially when he was with the Jets. Most of you don't know, my dad is a diehard Jets fan. They're like my AFC team. If I had an AFC team to root for, it'd be them. But when he was with the Jets, before he became the head coach, he had that gangrene. That they were hit.
Yeah.
They were getting it done.
So shooter is he in his comedic. He says, "I will take a dump live next time Gene has me on. Bring in the heat." Better stay away from Tuesdays though. So, well, you know what? I can't believe it's been a whole hour. Are you? What is your work schedule like? I mean, are you like free and you get to hang out and I mean, with everything that's going on, has this limited your work schedule, or are you a lot more busy now than you were before? Is it pretty much stayed the same?
So that's a good question. Um, I'm an EMT, for those of you who don't know, and I work on an ambulance, and I also work in an office. Um, I work on the truck from time to time, and I also call tape. So my company right now is kind of hitting that weird gray area where sometimes we're really busy, sometimes we're sitting there for a few hours doing nothing. Um, they've talked about cutting our hours or having us stay later. It's kind of like a day-to-day thing, especially
Mm-hmm.
with the coronavirus. They're trying to limit those of us who are high risk. Um, so for right now, my schedule is kind of the same. Um, a little bit more freedom from when they don't need all of us in the room, or I'm not in a truck. Then I have more time. But
Yeah, it's and the reason I ask this is because everybody's struggling with this in one way or the other. Like for me, I work for a company where I work from home, so the field that I'm in, it's like essential to assisting big trucks. So, I mean, my schedule's pretty much stayed the same. It's just been like I was working in an office, now I'm working from home. But I do have friends that have had their hours cut. I have friends that have, even lost their jobs. So, and that's the reason I was asking, just how is this affecting you, and how are you coping with this? I mean, this is very serious, and as this continues to get worse, I'm sure we're going to all have friends or loved ones that will be affected in one way, shape, or form by this. And just want people to know that we do. Me personally, I can speak for myself and speak for Ashley as well. We hope that everybody's staying safe, and we hope that people are, taking this seriously, and the social distancing, just so we can get past this and get into the football season. The more we stay at home, the more we can flatten the curve and get ourselves back to where we need to be.
I mean, listen, I work in the medical field. I, I'm on the front lines of all this. So when I say like, don't be going outside, don't be having your friends over, don't put yourself at risk.
Yeah.
It's serious.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a close friend of mine actually get the virus, and she was in the hospital for 2 weeks. We've transported patients that have had the virus. There's people, who are being on ventilators because of these things. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just the flu. You guys have to protect yourselves. I want to see you guys all at Ray J. I don't want to be saying, oh, we're so and so, and
for you
Yeah.
guys to be sick or something happen to you. So please keep yourself safe. Just take the precautions. Just do what you can. Wash your hands. Don't hang out with people. Be a homebody for what you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, like Gene said, the more we stay inside, the more we comply with the CDC and the doctors, the quicker this can be over with. We can go back to a normal life. It's scary right now. It's definitely it's nothing that I've ever seen. I mean, I'm 24 and I've never had anything like this happen.
Yeah. I can say this. I can say the same. I'm 500 years older than you, and I can honestly say in my lifetime I've never seen anything like this, and it is scary. The unknown is very scary. But the one thing that I will say is that we're all working together, and I think this is a time where I've seen more good during this epidemic than I have the negative. I've seen people that I would have never expected to be helpful just come out there and they're giving of themselves and they're helping other people. So I think in times like this, it's good to see the best in people. And again, you're going to continue, you will see the worst in people too. But for the most part, throughout all this, people have been very compassionate and been very helpful. So that's always a plus to me. And, it makes me hopeful for the future. Buccaneer Bruce, your cat's chilling. Yeah, he normally does. I'm probably going to have him fired because he's my coworker while I'm working here. And he walks around and he meows while I'm on conference calls and stuff like that. So, I'm writing up a letter to HR to have him fired, terminated as soon as possible. So there's that. But, was wanting to see, there's one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I promised you I was going to do this. So, everybody that comes on, I always put them in the hot seat. Okay. And I do have questions for you. And what I've decided to do is, I'm going to use the same questions from last week because I know that you didn't watch. So this is going to be kind of cool. I'm actually getting my.
I was here.
Oh, you were here?
You had Evan on.
Okay. Then hopefully you won't remember these questions.
Probably not.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a minute. It's going to be 10 questions, and we will we'll kind of go from there. So let me know, and what I'll do is I'll read the first question and I'll start, and you'll just have to go ahead and answer the questions. All right?
Is it like a one-word answer? Or?
It's going to be buy or sell, win or lose. It's real simple. You'll totally get it once we start doing this.
Okay, let's go.
All right. And first question, the New York Jets will win the AFC East. Buy or sell?
Sell.
Teddy Bridgewater instantly makes the Carolina Panthers a contender. Buy or sell?
Sell.
Houston Texans early free agency winner or loser?
Loser. By far.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers early free agency winner or loser?
I'll buy for Brady.
All right. Cam Newton will be a starter by the end of the 2020 season. Buy or sell?
Buy.
The 49ers will return to the Super Bowl. Buy or sell?
Sell.
The Titans re-signing Ryan Tannehill. Boom or bust?
Boom.
Todd Gurley in Atlanta. Boom or bust?
Bust.
Per Bruce Arians, the offensive line is okay. Buy or sell?
They're okay. Buy.
All right. Corey or Ashlie, who's smarter? You're out of time.
I'll give it to Corey.
You ran out of time. You were almost there. All you had to do was drop an answer.
Hey, man. Now, hold on a second. I love Corey, man. Corey and I can go all day with that stuff, but Corey's got a great football mind as well. So
I know. I had to throw that question out there because I knew that. I knew you'd hesitate on that one.
You got me. I was like, oh,
okay. All right. Well, let's see. Buccaneer Bruce, the closest thing in your lifetime was Pearl Harbor. Jeez Louise, that hurt. That really hurt. That was shots fired. Okay, Brucey, I got you, buddy. All right, I'll remember that. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump off of here. Thank you again for coming on. This was fun. As always, I enjoy having you on. I remember last year when we were talking about Shaq Barrett before he even played it down with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how happy we were to have there.
Listen, man, you're one of the realest people that do one of these kinds of shows, man. I always tune in when I can. Thank you so much for having me again. Whenever you want me on, I will come on. Like, okay. I will make sure I find the time.
All right, next week.
Hey, listen, if you're down, I'm down.
All right, and we are gonna do a draft show. I'm really working hard to influence Ashlie into coming on with us and giving her opinions on who the Bucs could potentially get. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, exciting show tomorrow. I'm actually going to have Jay from the Buckaholics, one of the founders of the Buckaholics, on. And we're gonna talk a little bit about what the Buckaholics are doing. I know that with the draft being in Vegas getting canceled, I know it affected a lot of things. And if there are people that are not in Tampa, outside of Tampa, and you have an opportunity, check this out tomorrow because the Buckaholics are really growing. They actually have a Buckaholics Mexico, which is kind of cool. So. The fan base is growing. They're finding people and they're finding common grounds, and they do so much for the community. I thought it was a perfect opportunity to get somebody like that on. So stay tuned tomorrow.
What time are you doing that show tomorrow?
Tomorrow it'll be about this time. Tomorrow we'll do it about the same time. So if you get a chance, check it out. As you know, I love having different guests on. I try to do something different than, what everybody else is doing. I will start as well my NFC South tour, and you will see some Carolina Panthers. You will see some New Orleans Saints. You may possibly even see an Atlanta Falcon on here. You just don't know. So if you do see that, play the lottery because it is your lucky day. But anyway, give me your final thoughts before we roll out of here. And I appreciate you. So final thoughts for the listeners, and we'll roll out.
All right, 5 quick things. Ronald Jones will be the rushing leader. Mike Evans takes back over the leading receiver. Tom Brady throws for 30 touchdowns. And Gene has the best YouTube show on the game. Boom, baby.
All right, there we go. Hey, everybody, take care of each other. If you get a chance to help people out, it's appreciated. We are a community, believe it or not. Regardless if you're related or somebody, we're still a community. We gotta work through this together, and I think we'll be fine on coming out on the other end. Buccaneer Bruce, love you too, man. And I am out of here.